Let's talk about the co-main event a little bit because this title fight's huge in its own right.
Yes.
Well, it's small, but
But
huge.
we got the biggest to the smallest.
And this is the Trilogy bout. Brandon Moreno this time comes in as the champion, looks to defend for the first time against the man he took the belt from, Deiveson Figueiredo. This wasn't the fight that was supposed to be here. Alexandre Pantoja was tapped to be in this position. This was when the fight was going to be in December.
Mm-hmm.
UFC moved it to January. Pantoja was out. In steps Deiveson. I was one of those people that thought Deiveson should have moved the bantamweight after the loss. I thought it was very much the final nail on his career at flyweight, which was great, but I thought it was time. So for him to kind of get put in this Trilogy bout, I was kind of like, wasn't very confident in it. And then the stat I put out on the nosebleeds about fighters coming off a loss, getting a title fight are 1 in 10 in that title fight. And, it doesn't necessarily make me very confident that Deiveson really can, equal that, So because of that, it's like he definitely is an underdog, deservedly so. But at the same time, I have a hard time believing he's going to get beaten down as bad as he did in the first one. So, Dominic, what do you think of the decision by Deiveson to kind of say, I don't care what other people think, I'm sticking to this division. I'm going for a belt that I lost in this division. Do you think that there's a potential big payoff here, or do you think it's all short term and he's inevitably going to move up anyways? And then really when it comes to this fight, is this a closer fight than the second time we saw it?
Yeah, so I think this is definitely a statement or a potential statement to be had here on Deiveson's end. I mean, that he's dedicating himself 225 pounds at least to try and regain that title that he once had and once was so dominantly earned. And, when I say motivated, I look at, he's changed camps. He's in Arizona now with Henry Cejudo. John Jones has even been training there. I mean, they've built kind of this whole thing around. Zhang Wei Li is training there, or she did for her Rose fight. So they're building a great camp there at Fight Ready MMA in Arizona, and I like the fact that he's getting Henry Cejudo as his lead man, because not only is Henry an Olympic wrestler, and you look at the grappling of Moreno and how elite it is in this division, but Brandon Moreno used to train with Henry Cejudo. Brandon Moreno helped Henry Cejudo get ready for, I believe, it was the Demetrius Johnson rematch, or definitely the first one, but it might have been the rematch too. So there's even history there, and you know how it can be with the King of Cringe, Henry. And I always forget what that guy's with the funky glasses is, like their manager. He's always into the cringy stuff too. Yeah. So they're kind of embracing that role, and Deiveson's kind of just like, oh, I'll roll with the punches here too. And they on Embedded, they shot the Lego belt at the gun range to make fun of Brandon Moreno. Anyway, Deiveson, man, making a complete lifestyle change here, moving from Brazil to live in the States. I see a lot of dedication on his end, but Moreno, I just feel right now, after all he's been through, being cut from the UFC and, the back and forth, he's 7-2-2 now in the UFC, but right now I feel like we're seeing him come into his all and really hit that prime at the perfect time to continue improving his game. And, he's got a whole market behind him, the first Mexican-born UFC champion. There's a lot of pressure on him, too, people, that is Brandon Moreno. So this is a fantastic fight. Again, in terms of Deiveson, I do view it as kind of a motivated Deiveson looking to make a statement. I do think inevitably we'll see him at 135 regardless. But potentially, maybe if he does come in and win this, maybe there is one more that he could fancy at 125. But this is such an interesting fight. I'm not upset that they booked this trilogy. We talked about on the nosebleeds how Pantoja was originally supposed to get the title fight. He couldn't make the date. Enter Figueiredo for the trilogy. The first one was so fantastic. The second one so one-sided. What are we going to see here in number 3, Noah?
I think it's going to be closer to that first fight, maybe a bit more cautious on both ends.
Mm-hmm.
Moreno, I don't know if either guy, I don't know if they really want to go through what they went through in that first fight. I'm sure they're willing to do so for that belt, but I wonder if there's going to be some caution this time. Caution got thrown to the wind in that first fight.
Mm-hmm.
The second fight, Deiveson seemed to be the one that was cautious, and Moreno was just all gas
So good.
immediately.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that overwhelmed the champion, and that's why you got such a flat performance out of him.
Yeah.
And maybe also compromised by a pretty severe weight cut that he's been making for all these years.
Of course.
So here, part 3, what's really changed? And that's kind of why I still think Moreno is going to get this win, because I don't like it when guys get immediate rematches coming off losses. And
Yeah.
as great as Deiveson was as a champion, as much fun as I had following that kind of what's Deuce de Guerra, is that his nickname?
Yeah.
God of War.
God of War.
I love that kind of run he had through 2020 and beginning of 2021. But he hasn't had, there's not been a ton of time for him to really make those improvements. You did point out that I think he's done more than a lot of the names that 1 in 10. I think he's done more than a lot of those 10 have. I mean, completely changing up his lifestyle, moving to the States. Maybe that'll improve the weight cut because he does look cut to hell, shredded.
Super lean.
So it's interesting. But you're right. Brandon Moreno just seems to be, I mean, the UFC seem to be buying into him as a champion. The people seem to be buying into him as a champion. It could be a great recipe for a long, healthy title reign.
Yeah.
But he's got to get through this one again, show it wasn't a fluke. And then we can start talking about Pantoja, Askarov, Royval, all those guys.
So on and so forth.
Yeah.